IVM.
Hello and welcome to Audio Gyan. I'm pleased and privileged to have Dr. Vidyadhar Oke with us. He's a medical doctor MBBS from Mumbai, and after working in the pharmaceutical industry for 28 years, at the age of 52, he gave away his career to pursue his passion for research in music. By then, he was already a third generation musician and became a disciple of Pandit Govindrao Patwardhan to emerge as a renowned harmonist. Apart from countless awards and numerous shows, he had the privilege to accompany great artists like Asha Bhosle, Sudhir Phadke, Vasantrao Deshpande, Rashid Khan, and others. He has also performed in programs compared by Pula Deshpande and Dr. Ashok Ranade at the NCPA. Dr. Oke is the first Indian to have completed research on 22 Shrutis, the fundamental tones of Indian classical music, and also got a patent for it. His work has provided the underlying principle of mathematics and physics in creating various new musical instruments. There are many accolades under his name, but the one which I would like to point out today in today's context is his outstanding work by building the 22 Shruti harmonium, for which people like Kishori Amonkar and Pandit Vishwamohan Bhatt has appreciated a lot and said this work deserves a Nobel Prize. This audiogram will span over two parts. Welcome to the show and thanks for giving us your time.
Yes, of course.
So the first thing which I wanted to ask you is what is a Shruti? Why is it an important aspect of music?
Well, there are actually three terms used for musical notes in India, as you know. They are called as Nada, Shruti, and Swara. Now, most people do not know the differences in these terms and they use it in any manner. So, let us first see the difference in Nada, Shruti, and Swara. Nada is a musical sound or any sound which gives a musical note. Okay. For example, if you strike a bell, it definitely gives a musical sound which we can sing, and therefore that is called as a nada. Now, suppose if you clap, and if I ask you to sing this, will you be able to sing this?
No.
You won't be able to sing this. So this remains as a sound, not a musical sound. So a musical sound is known as nada. For example, if a note is played at any point on a string, it gives a nada. So it will, simply if you take a stretched string and play a note, it will say tang or some such thing. But whatever note comes, you will be able to sing it, and therefore it becomes a nada. And we can see that there are therefore innumerable nadas on a string. Imagine that we are playing the string at one point of time and then taking the cursor right up to the other end. So tang. So therefore we say that nadas are ananta or innumerable. Because if you wait at any single point on that string, what comes is a nada. So, nadas, you take any string, play it from one end to the other, ding, it will go up like that in frequencies, and you stop at any point, it becomes a nada. So, this is a nada. Now, what is a Shruti? There are 12 universally identifiable musical notes. All over the world, there are only 12 notes which a human ear can identify.
Okay.
Whether it is an Indian ear, whether it is a Chinese ear, or a European ear, or American ear, because human ear is the same all over.
Okay.
So we can only make out 12 types of notes which are known as Swara Prakara. In fact, they should be not called as Swara, but they should be called as Swara Prakara. Because there is a difference in Swara Prakara and Swara, which I will explain in minutes. So in Indian classical music, there are 12 Swara Prakaras, as we know. So they are Shadja, then Komal Rishabh, Shuddha Rishabh, Komal Gandhar, Shuddha Gandhar, Shuddha Madhyam, Tivra Madhyam, Pancham, Komal Daivat, Shuddha Daivat, Komal Nishad, Shuddha Nishad, and then the Tara Shadja again. So these 12 are known as Swara Prakara.
Okay.
Now all these are playable on the string, as we know. We can play them. But when we start playing them on any string, we find out that out of these 12 Swara Prakaras, only Shadja and Pancham are playable at a single point or bindu on a string. When you want to play them on a string, we find that only for two of them, which is Shadja and Pancham, there is a single point or a bindu where they are played. And therefore they are called as achala. Achala meaning they are immovable from that point. Okay, now let us come to the other 10, remaining 10, because these are the two. Out of the remaining 10 swara prakaras, each have a region or a spread on a string. So there is an area on a string on which the same swara can be played. Not a point like Shadja and Pancham. You see the difference? So there is what is known as a swara kshetra. For 10 out of the 12, there is a spread or a region. So if you play this swara anywhere within the region, the frequencies can differ, but still you will have the perception of the same note. In that region,
Correct.
the frequencies will be different.
Correct.
But although the frequencies are different, human ear will still perceive it as the same note. This happens for 10 of them except Shadja and Pancham. So these 10 therefore are supposed to be walking on the string within that region.
Correct.
So they are known as chala. Chala means to walk. This means they are movable within that region.
Correct.
Okay. Therefore, as the perception of the note remains the same in this region, you can see that the perception of the note will change only at 2 points. One is in the beginning where the swara begins, and second is in the end when the swara changes. In between it is the same. So for these 10 swaras, you have 20 points. One in the beginning, one in the end. So for Komal Re begins, Komal Re ends. Shuddha Re begins, Shuddha Re ends. Komal Gandhar begins, Komal Gandhar ends. Do you follow what I'm saying?
Correct. Yeah.
So the changes in perception happens for 10 swaras only at 2 points each, beginning and end. So 10 multiplied by 2 is 20, plus 1 Shadja and 1 Pancham are the 22 Shrutis. So these are the 22 places, only 22 places provided by Mother Nature on any string in the world where the perception of the basic 12 swara prakara changes. There cannot be a 23rd place, or there cannot be only 21 places or 20 places. It is 22 given by Mother Nature. So these 22 are called as Shrutis. A Shruti is therefore a sound produced at any of these 22 points on any string of any metal, played on any instrument by any player at any place. That reflects the immortality or amaratva. So these are the 22 nadas. Basically, it is out of innumerable nadas as we saw in the beginning. So these 22 special nadas selected by nature are called as 22 Shrutis.
So sorry to cut you, but is there a possibility that there is some sound which may not fit in this, or it will fit in this? Right?
No, you can make innumerable sounds, as I said. You can make innumerable sounds, as we saw. You can go on and on. There are innumerable sounds. But out of which, if you begin from sa, 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 these are again innumerable. But in between, wherever the 12 swara prakaras will change, there are only 22 places. And further, in a raga, we don't use all the 22.
Correct.
We might use 5 or 6 or 7, etc.
Yeah.
So out of 22, when you do a further selection, it becomes the swaras. So you start with innumerable nadas. Then you come to 22 specific points which are provided by Mother Nature. And then you come down to swaras. Out of 22, 5, 6 or 7. So what is the essential difference between swara prakara and swara? You will see the difference. A swara prakara has a range of frequencies, whereas a swara or a selected shruti becomes a swara. So a swara has a single frequency. A swara prakara, Komal Rishabh, can have the whole range of frequencies.
Correct.
But that doesn't become Komal Rishabh. Komal Rishabh is as a shruti, changes only where it begins and where it ends.
So what is there in between?
In between is the range. You will get a perception. But that's not a perfect Komal Rishabh. The perfect Komal Rishabh you will only get where it begins and where it ends. No, that's very, very important, because I'll tell you again. If I give you a range and I tell you to select a specific frequency which I can identify differently, which can you give? You can't differentiate between, say here, somewhere in the early part of the region. It is Komal Rishabh. Move ahead, come in the center. It is Komal Rishabh. Move ahead, 60%. Komal Rishabh. Move ahead, 70% of the region. Komal Rishabh. 75% of the 75% of the Swarakshetra. Again Komal Rishabh. So you are not able to differentiate. They are all Komal Rishabhs. Where are you able to differentiate? The first point where Komal Rishabh, this is the Komal Rishabh, Shadja ends and Komal Rishabh starts. So that is one where differentiation is possible. And where Komal Rishabh ends, again you reach a point where because Komal Rishabh ends, beyond that your ear will say, this is not Komal Rishabh. So these two become very clearly the points where a human ear can help you to identify a note.
So then what is the reason of identifying this range?
There is no reason. That is how it exists. On the nature has given it on the string in the form of range.
But like
so there is no reason of identifying. It is a fact on the.
That becomes apparent after your research and your understanding of it. From a layman perspective,
you could say that probably that particular, now when you study it further, you will know that each of these Swarakshetras, 10 Swarakshetras, the length is consisting of 1.25% of the frequency. Means if this is the region, then this one is 1.25% more than this. So what a So it is so minute and small, but still there is some place there. Now maybe God probably thought that the human hand will not be always perfect. It might go wrong by % 0.5% here or there. So maybe God has provided for this natural error. But still error is an error.
Wow,
Still error is an error. And therefore if we want to strike at 100% of the precision, then we have to start it where the swara begins, either use that point as a Shruti or where the swara ends. There is also additional reason for this, which came up during my research. Of course, it is impossible in any single interview I'll be able to tell everything about whatever I could find out from this Mahasagar. It's a Mahasagar.
Yes.
And from this ocean, I have found so much that I can't explain to you in one interview. But still, right now, since you asked that question, just remember that only these 22 points are connectable to Shadja by a progressive Saga and Sapa relationship. So if you strike a tambura, you will get a wonderful Shadja, Gandhar and Pancham that the whole world knows. The Saga distance is always 100 to 125. So if Sa is 100, Gandhar is always 125. And if Sa is 100, Pancham is always 150.
These values you are saying accurately or like...
These values are immortal. Okay, and they will come out of any tambura anywhere in the world or in any other instrument. So they are beyond any question.
No, I'm saying the relative nature of 25 as a distance or exactly 100 hertz and 125 hertz.
100 to 125. You take 99, it will be 25% more.
Okay.
You take 67. Start with 67. Gandhar will be 25% more.
Yeah, it's a relative.
Yeah. Pancham will be 50% more.
Yeah.
Okay, so Saga and Sapa are the basic harmonic natural relationships of Shadja, Gandhar and Pancham. Saga and Sapa. And they form the basis of Indian classical music. So Saga and Sapa, these are absolutely basic. And later I found that these 22 sounds or 22 Shrutis which come at these specific points on any string are related to each other only by Saga and Sapa relationship. Not any point in between cannot be connected. And when we use them in a raga, we want them to be connected by Saga and Sapa relationship. You cannot just take any particular note in a raga. It has to be connected harmonically with Shadja. So only these 22 points are connectable to Shadja by progressive saga and sapa relationship. I have shown these diagrams on my website as I call them as 22Shruti DNA. They are, it is virtually the DNA of Indian classical music. Because you can't change a single note even by a fraction. Because then it will not fit into the mathematics of 100 to 125 and 100 to 150. Therefore, these 22 notes which are immortal. And although there is a range, and that clearly shows the range is given as you can say, the God knows that your hand probably practically will not go either to the beginning or to the end of the Swarakshetra. It will lie somewhere in between. Okay, chalo. Still, there will be music. Not the best quality music, but music. In fact, the Western scale, Western equitempered scale of harmonium and pianos and everything, keyboards, synthesizers, harmoniums and pianos, it gives 12 notes, not 22 notes. And those 12 exactly come in the center of Swarakshetra. Therefore, they are not connectable to Shadja. Therefore, they are not harmonic with Shadja. And therefore, harmonium was banned in India. Because the Pandit said, no, these notes are not perfect in consonance or in samvad. They are not making a susamvad with Tanpura. That is why harmonium was banned. Now you understand why these 22 points only. No, and it is extremely unfortunate that Indian classical music students, teachers, gurus, they are somehow not in a mental makeup of understanding this so far. And that is why these lectures can be of tremendous help to take this knowledge to them and to encourage them to actually see what they are singing, why they are singing that way. The reason is this, the basic fundamental science provided by Mother Nature.
It's actually, tough to comprehend also to a certain extent.
Within an interview, you can't, what can you comprehend? I can only make you aware about it. But all this needs a proper study.
So you mentioned about like Shrutis and Nadas. So what do we use in music?
Oh, that's a $1 million question. Because when we say there are Shrutis, there are Nadas to start with, some of them become Shrutis and some of them become Swaras. We saw. But what do we use? We use both Shrutis and Nadas. A single Shruti can be used either in isolation. Suppose if I sing, this is a single frequency. Now suppose if I use two frequencies, two Shrutis, two very clear Shrutis.
Correct.
Now, if I want to use this combination in a raga, what have I done now? I have connected one Shruti, another Shruti, and I have connected by the nadas in between. They are not Shrutis. What do you hear in between? Are you hearing something in between the Shadja and Panchama? Sa, pa,
So,
what are you hearing in between? Are you able to hear in between something?
Yes.
But can you hear it in terms of a swara?
No, it's a continuous thing.
It's a continuous thing. That is the word you used. That's absolutely right. It's a continuous thing. And why it remains a thing and not a swara, I'm going to explain.
No, but sorry, it could be a very naive question, but is mean and this transition the same?
Absolutely same.
Okay.
When we take a mean, lower sa, see this. Now upper sa is sa, lower sa is sa. Now let me go by a mean from lower sa to upper sa. Sa, Now why only two are identifiable as a swara? And why the in-between thing cannot be identified as a swara?
So can you explain that? I mean, how can we practically differentiate between Shrutis and Nadas?
That's right. Now let me give you let me say, not even million, but $1 trillion answer.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
This is because this is for the first time in our research we were able to clearly show a fundamental scientific fact which explains the difference between Shruti and Nada. A fundamental underlying scientific physical fact in physics, which explains and which helps you and me or anyone to clearly differentiate between what is a Shruti and what is a Nada. Therefore I said not $1 million but $1 trillion answer.
Yeah.
The human ear needs 20 to 45 milliseconds time to identify a musical note.
Okay.
So Shrutis are sung or played more than this time. So they are identified. Are lower sa hai, this is upper sa. When you are identifying it, it means you are playing it for more than 45 milliseconds. And whatever is in between thing you said, those remain as nadas because we sing them or we play them for less than 45 milliseconds. So they remain as nadas. Now suppose if I want to sing Kalavati. Sa ga ba da ni da pa ga ga sa. I went from sa to pa. So innumerable frequencies I sang. And they are in continuity. How many swaras we are actually able to identify? Only 3. Sa, ga and pa. Listen to this again. Although I am singing innumerable nadas, you are able to identify only 3. We are able to identify everything in between we are hearing but not able to identify. So is the difference between what is a Shruti and what is a Nada very clear now? This whole confusion in the mind of almost every musician in India must go. I am told that for Ajay Chakravarti ji, for example, told me, Dr. Saab, to take this knowledge to every musician in India is going to take 1 yug. But let us make a beginning by Audio Gyan. I have already made a beginning by my 22 Shrutis website, and all my efforts are in the same direction. But here is, we are making use of physics, knowledge of physics, knowledge of biology and human body to understand the difference between a Shruti and a Nada.
So you're saying the reason we need to at least understand that there exist these nadas in between the two swaras is to reach the perfection.
Absolutely. Now the sounds where we remain steady. Saga pa. These saga pa have to be absolutely precise as per the Shrutis. Saga pa da. This da has to be one of those 22 points. Saga pa da ni ni has to be one of those 22 points. But you will not actually, in pure classical, when we sing, we don't sing Saga pa da ni, Saga pa da ni ni. So we connect them by nadas, and this is what a guru teaches. So for guru or for student, both become very important. The Shruti is also important because that is where you will stay for more than 45 milliseconds, and that frequency must match with the those given by the nature. Plus, you know how to connect. Ga pa dha ni sa, ga pa da ni 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 da da ba. All this a guru will teach how to connect it with nadas, and then a raga evolves in front of us. So you will see this understanding is extremely important for every student of Indian classical music. And we are using Shrutis as swaras, I told you. Because out of 22 in Kalavati, see, we took Sa, Ga, Pa, Da, Ni, 5. Sa, Ga, Pa, Da, Ni. We took 5 Shrutis as the swaras of Kalavati.
Correct.
Now these swaras or shrutis will be connected by innumerable nadas in between. But that connections have to be taught by a guru as how to connect. Because if I connect wrongly, you will not get the feeling of Kalavati.
Correct.
So both shrutis and nadas are important, and our underlying knowledge of physics helps us to differentiate very, very clearly between what is a shruti and what is a nada.
In fact, that reminded me because I was planning to learn flute for some time.
Okay.
And I don't remember the exact rag, but there are lot of instances where there are two rag with the same swaras.
Yes.
But the emotion they evoke is different.
Right.
So is it because of the nadas in between?
No. It is also because of the nadas in between. See, two rags become different. For example, if we take Bhoop and Deshkar, there are many such combinations.
Correct.
We just take one just for clarifying the point.
Hmm.
Now, when you use Bhoop, we use the lower shrutis of the swara. See, every swara has a lower shruti and a higher shruti. We saw, na? The beginning and the end.
Correct.
Beginning and the swara is same. It is Shuddha Rishabh only. But there is a beginning of Shuddha Rishabh and there is an end of Shuddha Rishabh. So the beginning is known as the lower shruti. And the end is known as the higher shruti. So in Bhu, we use the lower shrutis. And in Deshkar, we use the higher shrutis.
No, but I think, I'm not sure, but this one rag, I think Amir Khan had sung this, there were two and with exactly the same both were lower shrutis, so exactly the same swaras. But still the emotions were different.
That could be because I don't know which example are you giving or are you quoting, or I would have commented on that. But I can see that there are two things in a raga. One is the selected shruti, which becomes a swara. And second is how do you connect them by nadas. So maybe he was showing the connections in a different manner, creating two ragas.
Okay, so the connections can also
absolutely because see what is the connection. See when we do a drawing, for example, you remember we were in school. We used to firstly plot only the points, and then we were told now you connect the points.
Rangoli.
Velbutti aste. There are designs by which we can. There are curves and there are circles, and so all these joining, then a picture emerges. Na? So although the points may be same, the picture can be different because of the connecting lines. So probably you are referring to an example where the points were absolutely same, or shrutis, selected shrutis, what we call as swaras, were absolutely same, but the way they were connected was different. It is possible.
So yeah, how is raga formed? I mean, rag formed.
Now we just saw. What do? We want to take select the shrutis first. There are 22 shrutis. Now we took Kalavati. Now, for example, let us take Yaman. We want to now sa ni re ga ma dha ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So these are the swaras.
Correct.
Now you will see that Yaman ni re ga is usually the first alap.
Correct.
Ni re. See how the re is presented. This is the way traditionally Yaman has been taught. That on re and the you will see a typical connection.
Correct.
Of nadas.
Correct.
Just see. Sa ni re ga ma dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa. Only at re and the. Why? Because they are higher. So we don't say ni re ga. See, this re is lower. Can you see the difference? Ni re. Can you perceive this lower re?
Yeah.
And when I say ni re.
Yeah, totally. Immediately connects. Yeah.
Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So, but not knowing this, you will sing ni re ga. You'll go like that is not a raga. Ni re ga. So since the re is higher, we first go to the ga and then come on re.
Mm.
Ni re. What is this? Ni gare.
Mm.
Ni gare. Ni re. So we have gone to ga and then come to re. Why? Because the ga is higher.
Mm.
This is re. So when from ga when we descend, first we are not going to reach the lower Shruti. We are going to reach the higher Shruti. So in order to facilitate reaching the higher Shruti, the structure of a raga, connections, structure of nadas is designed like this. This is known as chalan of the raga.
Mm.
So raga chalanas, the chalan of a raga actually comes from the Shruti is higher or lower. Ni re ga ma dha ga ma nidha. We go to ni and then come to the. Nida, da, da, da. What is this? Nida, nida. Da, da, ni. But when I go to ni, I go from the, because I don't want to have the higher ni. Da, da, ni. So do you follow what is happening here?
Yeah. I want to understand what is the difference here between like Andolan and this? Because then it's the same thing.
Yeah. What is an andolan? Andolan is like jula. It is the swara. The nadas are moving in between. Correct.
It's the same thing.
What is this? You can call this as this is a type of alap. What is alap? Alap is any connection between shrutis. And the way you connect becomes different alankaras.
Correct.
So da ni sa ni da pa ma ga re sa. So this is the way Shrutis are selected and the chalan comes out of the selected Shrutis. Let us take another example of say Hamir. Sa ga ma da ni sa. Daro. Ga ma da. Why? Because da is higher.
Yeah. And the should be made.
Now if it is Rageshri, sa ga ma da ma dha, you will go from lower. Da. Do you see the difference? This is the Savataka difference. Of course, since please understand, I am not a singer, so I am only demonstrating it. Obviously, I am also a human being, so when I am demonstrating, it is possible that the difference is not very clear, but it becomes very clear on 22Shruti harmonium. Because that I can make a mistake because I am not a vocalist. But I am telling you as a teacher how you can understand the whole thing. Yeah. So every alankara or what is known as ornamentation in Indian classical music, such as an alap or a behlava or a meend, is simply a combination of identifiable shrutis connected by non-identifiable nadas in between.
Correct.
Simple now?
Super, yeah.
In Carnatic classical music, the so-called gamakas, they say our music is only gamakas. Gamaka is nothing but alankar.
Yeah.
So gamaka is also a combination of identifiable shrutis connected by non-identifiable nadas in between. So Mahaganapatyo Manasa Smarami Magaganapatyo. What is it? Sa two shrutis and connected.
Just a shorter wave.
So two shrutis connected by nadas. Two shrutis, three shrutis, four shrutis connected by nadas. Is the basic fundamental structure of a raga, whether it is Indian classical music or whether it is Carnatic classical music. Okay.
Then how can we measure a shruti?
Yes, measuring a shruti is absolutely important and is easily possible. Because easily possible because any musical sound today is measured in hertz. And this is not new. The world has started measuring sounds in hertz as early as 1930. The unit of measurement of sound comes in the honor of a great German scientist, Heinrich Hertz,
Okay.
who discovered radio waves.
Mm-hmm.
So the unit of sound, unit of musical sound, was actually given in his honor, and therefore it is called as 1 hertz.
Mm-hmm.
So every note sung or played by a musician can be measured in hertz. Human voice, for example, is normally from a range of 100 to 1000 hertz.
Okay.
And different instruments, you take violin, you take sarangi, you take whatever, different musical instruments will have different ranges.
Mm-hmm.
So all those instruments are selected for human voice for accompaniment, which have a range closer to human voice.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, both the performers and teachers today feel that musical notes cannot be measured. Nobody wants to learn anything.
It's
And therefore, it is surprising, and therefore these efforts I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore cannot be standardized. They feel, whatever I sing is the thing. But what are you singing? You are not allowed to sing anything. You are only allowed to sing the perfect natural 22 Shrutis and connect them by nadas in between.
So are you saying they have been fortunate that they are falling in the same frequencies, and that's why they just...
They could be more or less correct. We are not saying everything what is sung is wrong. No, we can't go that far. But that is not the best way to teach. Especially when measurements are available.
Correct.
What is the height of a person? Height is about, this much tall. Would you be today happy with this much?
Wow, that's very, very insightful. Yeah.
When a measurement is available, why not measure it and aim for perfection? See, in olden times when musicians were largely illiterate, it was perhaps okay. But now, with educated musicians, this would become musical illiteracy, no?
Yeah.
So remember, Shruti has rightly been called as a microtone. Tone means svar.
Correct.
So, a range of frequencies. Micro means ekdam, right, smallest frequency or a single frequency. That's why it's called a microtone. And every microtone or Shruti is perfectly measurable. I have made a musical frequency analyzer actually. In fact, I started my research making a musical frequency analyzer. Electronic musical frequency instant analyzer. Because I knew people would ask these questions. How are you sure this is so and so hertz, that is so? So the analyzer actually instantly was showing what you are singing. So this is that important.
Why only 22 Shrutis? Or this is one of the things which also triggered this interview. In fact, that a friend of mine asked me that is it able to are we able to comprehend 22 naturally, or do we have to develop our ears to listen to that? So yeah, I mean, why only 22 Shrutis and who fixed them? I mean,
see, I just explained to you that some people who do not know or wish not to know. They don't want to learn. Everybody can learn actually. The meaning of a Shruti.
Or maybe are ignorant. They don't know.
I would be very happy with ignorance. But I would not be happy if you are ignorant about your ignorance.
Yeah, that's what they don't know that they don't know.
Yeah. So if you don't know, it's all right.
Yeah.
But if you don't know that you don't know, then there is a big problem.
Yes, that's it.
Okay. So everybody must first learn the meaning of a Shruti. What does a Shruti means? See, previously, Shruyate iti Shruti, it was said. Shruyate iti Shruti? Shruyate means what is, it was literally translated as anything which is heard is a Shruti. Je aiku yetu te Shruti. Shruyate iti Shruti. Are shru, shruyate comes from the original dhatu shru. Shru does not mean only to hear. That is just a mere translation. But Sanskrit language is very, very pregnant. Shru does not mean to hear. Shru means to hear, to understand, learn and use. All this means in Shru. See, suppose, don't we say many frequently, अरे मी त्याला किती सांगतोय पण तो ऐकतच नाही.
Correct.
Don't you say that?
Yeah.
किती त्याला सांगितलं तो ऐकत नाही. Now when you सांगितलं, when you told him, he's hearing, but he's not listening. He is not understanding. he is not learning, and he is not implementing. All this is encapsulated in a single dhatu, shru. So when previously our Sanskrit Pandits said that shruyate iti shruti means, what is shruyate? What you hear, what you learn, what you understand, and what you implement. Becomes a shruti. Otherwise, anything you hear, does this become a shruti? Does this become a shruti? Anything you hear is a shruti. Anything which you hear in a saptak, for example, anything, then shrutis will be innumerable. In fact, that is the confusion. Many people keep on fighting, saying that what is Dr. Oke saying? Shrutis are innumerable. Arey Baba, shrutis are not innumerable. Nadas are innumerable. Out of them, the perception of a swara prakara, 12 swara prakara, will change only at 22 points, and those are the shrutis. And those 22 are given by Mother Nature. So they are not Dr. Oke shrutis, or they are not anybody's shrutis. And therefore nobody can add to 22 shrutis, and nobody can subtract from 22 shrutis.
So I guess this is a great way to end this session, and we will continue our discussion on Shruti and harmonium and more about music in the next part. Till then, stay tuned.
Hello! It's been a great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On This Round is on Me, Gauri is joined by Shweta Nanda. They talk about the financial independence and how it is to be a woman entrepreneur. On Anish Thing, Anish welcomes ultra-marathon runner Shivani Gharat. Shivani shares her journey of how she ran her first marathon, the mindset of a runner, and what it actually takes to run a full marathon. On Cock and Bull, Cyrus, Naveen, Akash and Shreyas talk about the Korean band BTS serving in the military and its repercussions. On Think Fast, Varun and Suchita discuss Wing Greens and their latest acquisitions and about the Indian sexual wellness market. And on Shunya One, Sheila Datya is joined by Dinika Bhatia, CEO and founder of Nutty Gritties. They talk about coming from a business family and Dinika's journey in creating healthy and guilt-free snacking. Once again, don't forget to visit our merch store on ivmpodcast.com. We have some exciting new merch out there for you. Also, do follow us on social media. We are IVM Podcasts on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And do remember to spread the word about these shows and any other shows you might be listening to. Appreciate them, rate them, and review them wherever you are listening to them. You can also check out all our other shows on youtube.com/IVM Podcasts. And finally, we would like to thank our sponsors this week: Volvo XC40 Recharge, Bumble, Heads Up for Tails, Kotak Privy League Program, and HDFC Mutual Fund. Thanks guys, without you this would not be possible.
Do you often find yourself surrounded by conversations about Web3, blockchain, NFTs, DAOs? What are these terms and how do they affect our future on the internet? So many questions, but don't worry, we've got answers to all your questions. Hi, I'm Eklavya Bhattacharya, and on our show Future Proofing, we try to decode the impact of these future technologies on various industries with experts and tech enthusiasts. Tune into new episodes coming out every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app and the website, or wherever you get your podcasts from.